Welcome class, this is the note makeup / refresher video for 1-4 factoring algebraic expressions. All right, the learning intentions today are going to be able to factor algebraic expressions. It's pretty straightforward. Your success criteria, right? You know you have it when you can use division and the quotient rule or multiplication and the product rule to factor these algebraic expressions. And we'll see how that happens right now. All right, so let's get started on this set of notes. I am not going to read this entire slide to you. You can go ahead and pause it and read it. It's a lot of math words, but what you need to know out of here is factors are the numbers that we multiply together to get a product. And on the same hand, a product is a number that we get when we multiply two numbers together, all right? So for instance, if you have the number 63, its factors are 7 and 9 because 7 times 9 equals 63. So once again, 63 is a product of 7 and 9, and 7 and 9 are factors of 63. For a simpler example, the product of 2 times 2 is 4, and the factors of 4 are 2 and 2. So let's practice factoring and finding the greatest common factor. So first things first, you need to know what a GCF is, all right? GCF stands for greatest common factor. And greatest means the biggest. Common means shared between the two terms. And factor, like I said earlier, is the number that multiplies together. So here we have the term 15x squared. That's going to break down into the factors 3 times 5 will give you 15, and then x times x gives you that x squared. Now the factors for 12x are going to be 2 times 3, because that will give you 12, and then multiply that by x to give 12x. And here we see they circled 3 and x because that is the greatest common factor, 3x. That is the largest number that is shared that both terms have in common. And same thing for x. You can only take one x out of both terms because that is all they share. 12x doesn't have a second x to take out, therefore you have to leave it in that first term. So, like we just found out on the last slide, that 3x is our GCF. Now, if our expression that we started out with was 15x squared plus 12x, and you were going to divide out, factor out, pull out, however you want to think of it, your greatest common factor of 3x, well, you're going to do some division. You're going to do 3x, or 15x squared divided by 3x gives you 5x. 12x divided by 3x, well, that gives you 4. The terms inside the parentheses you will group together in a single parenthesis, and your greatest common factor will be on the outside. And that is a fully factored expression. All right. Honestly, with factoring, I think the best way to learn is by doing. That's with most things in math, but especially for factoring. So let's just get into an example, follow the steps, and then we can take it from there. So step 1, you should write these steps down. Step 1 is going to be to separate your terms. So step 1, separate your terms. Boom. All right, bear with me, by the way, I'm drawing on a mouse. It's not going to be pretty. All right, so step number 2, determine the factors of each term. This is a very nice problem to practice with and begin with because the factors are very simple. The only factor for 3x is 3 times x. Ooh, that went off the boards. That is terrible. But hey, I'm trying. All right. Now, the factors for 12 are even easier because we know one of the factors has to be 3 because it is the only factor that is numerical on the first term. So if we have one term or one factor of 3 for 12, the other factor has to be 4 because 4 times 3 gives us 12. All right, step number 3 now. Step 1 was to separate terms. Step 2 was to break each term into its factors. Step 3 is going to be circle your GCF. Now, there is only one thing that both sides share in common, so you don't have to worry about which one is the largest. It is going to be 3 on both sides. All right, so our GCF is 3. Now we just divide our expression by 3. So 3x divided by 3 gives us x. $12 divided by 3 gives us 4. And we are successfully factored. And you'll notice this is a secret that you can use to not even have to worry about the division. Once you find your greatest common factor, and in this problem that was 3, you write that on the outside of the parentheses for your answer. What goes on in the inside of the parentheses are the factors you haven't circled yet, the things you didn't pull out, everything that's not the greatest common factor. So x plus 4, x plus 4, and you're done. All right, for this slide, I would like you to attempt this problem by yourself. Factor 4x plus 10, and the answer will be on the next slide. So if you need to, just pause the video here and take your time, and you can see the correct answer on the next slide. All right, here you can see the factored form of 4x plus 10. The greatest common factor was 2, and what was left over on the inside was 2x plus 5. All right, here's your next example problem for you to check your knowledge. So once again, please pause the video and work it out on your own, and then you can go to the next slide, or the video will go to the next slide and show you the answer. If you cannot solve these problems on your own, you need to bring questions to class. All right, that's the only way we're going to learn. Yeah, you didn't pause the video, did you? Yeah, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. All right, so that was your last example. If you would like to try this real world word problem, that's a tongue twister. Try to say that 10 times fast. If you wanted some extra credit, solve this real world problem on your own, and I will give you a nice 10 points on your bell work. Have a good one. Almost forgot to include the answer here, all right? Your answer for the length and width of this space is going to be 2x by 4 plus x.